Here we go, episode 124 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. That is John Michael Masiri. We're doing this the day after Super Bowl 58, where the Kansas City Chiefs have, JM, I think they've, finalized or really just solidified the dynasty here, and whatever else comes, just add to it.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. There's no exact definition of a dynasty, but what the Chiefs have done is obviously you can't argue against it.
Make sure you're checking out all our social media pages, liking and subscribing on YouTube, liking and subscribing, giving us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yelp.
Yeah. JM,
Yeah.
I'll ask
Google
you.
Reviews. Yeah.
I'll ask you. I didn't get to ask you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I finally won some money for the first time since November.
In a way you didn't want to. Yes, you did.
Yes. In a way I didn't want to. I got made fun of a lot by my friends because I said that I was going to root for the 49ers, but I bet on the Chiefs, which I thought was a smart play by me because I sort of hedged my feelings.
I love the emotional hedge.
Right? But at the same time, as the game went on, I realized money overtakes emotion when your team isn't in the game. So I was just fully rooting for the Chiefs in that sense.
So you ended up rooting for the Chiefs.
I was a hardcore rooting for the Chiefs.
How much you put on it?
Like $50. Not
All
crazy
right.
amount.
That wasn't a crazy amount.
No, I didn't put.
Listen, at that point, if you put a nice amount on it,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
matter
yeah.
who the hell you care for. I mean, it's not your team. Obviously, you're not going to do that. Although, I respect. I'm sitting there yesterday, okay, and I wanted the Niners to win. I had a little money on the Niners, nothing to, make me sweat or anything. But
Guy's loaded, yeah.
My heart was racing watching that football game.
I'm sitting there like this in overtime.
Yeah, just in general, late in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, if my team was playing in this game, and listen, I was young when the Giants won the Super Bowl, so it wasn't, to this level at all. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what I don't think I'd be able to watch the game.
I would be emotionally unavailable. I honestly, if the Jets were in the Super Bowl, I would obviously watch a game, but I would, if I really had the strength to do it, I would go to sleep and set an alarm to see the final score when I woke up, because I don't think I'd be able to handle a close, tight game with my team in it.
It's a lot, man. That's a lot to ask there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough ask. But
yeah.
Listen, your friend Jack, I texted him after that loss. I was like, listen, that's a tough loss if you're a Niner fan. And, it happens twice now to the same team, to the same guys. I mean, almost the same, main three of, core there of Reed, Mahomes, Kelsey.
Yep.
That's a tough loss to stomach. Let's get to it. I mean, what's the biggest takeaway for you? Do you feel like it was kind of handed to them? Do you think the Niners blew this in any way, or was this just the Chiefs being the Chiefs?
I mean, obviously the Niners did not capitalize on all the opportunities that were put in front of them, right? The Chiefs gave the ball away about 3 or 4 times, and the Niners were not able to capitalize on that, right? However, I think what it comes down to, and it might sound corny or it might sound like a cliche, Patrick Mahomes was just Patrick Mahomes in that game. I think Purdy played well. I think the 49ers offense was good, not great. I think their defense played good. I really don't think, you could talk about some decisions made by Shanahan and some situational or going away from the run or whatever you want to talk about, but I don't think, that's one thing that I actually really enjoyed about this Super Bowl is it was a very clean sort of game, the way I felt it. I felt that the team that should have won the game. I felt that a big thing was the referees. There was no dramatic no call or big call that affected the game. That's always great. We know with the Super Bowl last year, that was the big topic, the holding penalty and this and that. So I just think that my biggest takeaway is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did what they did, and they've always find a way to win. They did it last night, but Sunday. Yeah,
they did. They definitely. You're 100% right about the referees. I mean, the one holding call that, it was a big call was at in overtime, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a hold. I think it was McDuffie. It was McDuffie, right? He held whoever the receiver was, brought him down to the ground.
That was Jawan Jennings. I don't know if that was a flop job. It didn't look like it. It looked like he tripped over himself from the contact.
I think he did grab him.
It was a hold. It was a hold, but I think that's one of those calls where, he's got his arm around his waist the other way around. And there's no jersey pull, but because Jennings did trip, that's an easy call for the referee.
It was the right call, and it set them up big time. And then, the 49ers do go down the field. So I want to kind of start, I guess, there, right? Yeah. Let's start with overtime because, after the game, when you have players on the San Francisco 49ers side saying, well, we didn't know 100% what to do in overtime. We didn't know the rules 100%. Yeah. That is pretty damning for a head coach and overall a coaching staff. And we'll get to Shanahan's decision, I guess, to take it, but do you think those players actually did not know the rules?
It was very weird for them to say that, and I saw Juszczyk's interview, and he talked about how he didn't know the rule. Because number one, I would feel that they would know, but number two, even if they don't know, I'm surprised that they're admitting it in an interview that they did not know.
How do you admit that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they missed it, considering that was a major story of the 2022 playoffs when Mahomes and the Chiefs beat the Bills in that overtime game. So it's shocking, honestly, to hear that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you don't know the rule there.
But I think a lot of those guys did know the rule. We'll talk about Shanahan's decision to take the football instead of kicking it in the overtime period, which, by the way, I got to say something. I was a little confused by the overtime rules because we rarely see a double overtime game. So when the Chiefs are letting the clock go down, and I thought, listen, I'm a diehard fan, but this was something I did not know. And you have a lot of casual fans watching this game. Nance or Romo should have said something before we see this clock getting to like 9 seconds. They're just letting it wind down. I thought it restarted.
I didn't know either. First of all, the fact that there's a clock in the first place is just stupid. Because if each team is entitled to a possession, then what the hell's the point of the clock?
Yeah.
But as that clock is winding down, I thought it was just one quarter, and
we restart after.
Score. No, I thought this if the Chiefs didn't get a playoff before the triple zeros, the game was over. If they didn't score before the triple zeros, because why wouldn't I think that the quarter's about to end?
Right.
But they're entitled to their full possession. So, just take the clock away. What the hell's the point of the clock? But I do agree. To be honest with you, I'm not a Romo guy at all. I think I was in the beginning. I liked the fact that I appreciated his knowledge of knowing formations and predicting plays, and that stuff was cool. But even when they win the Super Bowl, and I got a lot of respect for Nance, they score the touchdown. Nance says, oh, jackpot, whatever line he had stored in his brain for the whole game. He's like, I'm going to say this. And Tony Romo's talking about, he's already trying to be oh, well, Jim, when they're lined up in this formation, this and they're like, bro,
the game's over.
Nobody's going to say, Super Bowl champions, Chiefs. He's just, I'm not a Romo guy.
No, Romo has been on everybody's bleep list for a little while now, for a couple of years.
When he said Mahomie, that was kind of the...
That was definitely crazy. Yeah. But he had a bad game last night, and it just was exemplified by stepping on Nance's call. Yeah. That's a legendary call for a play-by-play guy. A team just walked it off to win the Super Bowl. It's the start of a dynasty, and Romo stepping all over him. Oh, it's an Andy Reid special. It's an Andy Reid special.
That's what he said.
Shut the hell up, Tony, and let the professional and Jim Nance do his job and have his legendary moment. That was a bad job by Tony Romo. Bad game from him overall. Yeah, they didn't explain the overtime, and I'm just sitting there confused. Now, Shanahan takes the ball. Did we get to this yet? We didn't get to this yet.
No, we did not get to this.
Shanahan takes the ball. Mm-hmm. Now, it went well for Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. His team goes down the field. I mean, they got lucky on the penalty, but then right after that, 13 plays down the field. They're at the 15-yard line, whatever it was. It's 3rd and 4, and you know what? If there's not a missed assignment on Chris Jones, you have a touchdown to Brandon Ayuk in the end zone.
And Jennings was open too.
And instead, you have Chris Jones in Purdy's face. And listen, Purdy was not good against the blitz. He wasn't good against the blitz in this postseason. I can't put that on him. They missed the best defensive player on the team up front. What is he supposed to do on that play? And right then and there, when you do not score that touchdown, the football game's over.
Yeah, and after the game, they asked Shanahan and they asked Purdy about it, and you had Juwan Jennings was the number one read on that play. I know Ayuk was wide open too, but Juwan Jennings running a zig route one-on-one on the outside, and he got separation, and he would have just had to catch it at the 5, turn, and dive for the pylon, and he would have had the touchdown. And Chris Jones terrorized them 5 years ago in the first time they met. Yeah. And with the game on the line, the Super Bowl on the line, they missed the blocking assignment. I watched that replay, you got Kittle like chips Karlaftis, and then, which he did his job, right? He pushed Karlaftis out just to give Brock enough time because they're not worried about max protect. They're doing a 2-second drop back and the ball is getting out.
Right.
And they just let Chris Jones go right up the middle. It was a bad blocking scheme there, and it obviously cost them the game. But I want to now, like, let's get into the decision because I'm seeing all over the place people on one side or the other. Now, I will say, when they first did the coin toss and they were making the decision, when they received it, I thought to myself, I was like, why wouldn't you just kick it? Because then if you get a stop, then you can just go down, kick the field goal, and the game is over. And then one of my friends said to me, well, it's sudden death after that, so they're going to probably want the ball back. But they're going to want their first chance in sudden death, right? Once you get into once nobody scores a touchdown or the score is tied after each team gets a possession, now you're in a sudden death scenario. I would want to be that team that gets the ball first in a sudden death because obviously if you score, the game is over.
Right.
I get either side of it because you're saying, well, the Chiefs had the advantage. They went for it on fourth down because they had to. Their backs were against the wall. They had no choice, which is actually an advantage because they don't need to think about punting or taking the field goal or whatever. They got to go for it every single time. I get it. One thing that I think is getting overlooked, though, the Chiefs were just in a 2-minute drill at the end of regulation in one of the longest NFL, what was it, the 7th longest game in NFL history? Mm-hmm. The 7th longest game in NFL history. The Chiefs just went down the field in a 2-minute drill. The Niners defense is pretty winded at that point considering they were just in a 2-minute drill scenario and you just played a long-ass game in regulation. You give the defense a break. You get the rest advantage with your defense, right? By having them sit that first drive in overtime.
That's a good point.
But most importantly, if you get that touchdown, everybody's like, oh, well, the Chiefs were going to go for 2. How do we know that, like, if the Niners scored a touchdown, when the Chiefs got the ball back, down 7, everybody's saying, Chris Jones said it, if we scored a touchdown, we were going to go for 2. Let's not act like the Chiefs would automatically get the 2-point conversion, though. Like, that's the thing that people are using in their arguments. It's like, I know it's Pat Mahomes. I know they're great, and they'd probably get it anyways because they're just fantastic. But it's not a guarantee that they're going to get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm a little hesitant. I think this is an impossible situation if you're Kyle Shanahan because of the players and coaches on the other side. Like, it's just so difficult. So I see both ways. I'm not going to crush them. Again, I would agree with almost both decisions. But for the Chiefs to have the opportunity to still win the game by going for 2, by making one more play, I think I would have kicked it and allowed myself to have that sudden death opportunity without giving the football back, and even though they were supposed to, and go for 2. I think I probably would have rather that. But there's a lot of pressure to have to go down the field and score the touchdown. If Kansas City, let's say you gave them the ball, scored a touchdown, it's a lot of pressure, even though you don't have to think about it on fourth down against a really good defense. That's difficult to do. So it's almost an impossible situation for Kyle Shanahan. I'm not going to get on him for the decision. I would, right after the game, I was like, wow, wait, that was a bad choice. And then the more you think about it, the more you see both sides, and I can't disagree.
This isn't a Dan Campbell scenario where it's a crazy boneheaded.
Almost a Dan Campbell scenario yesterday.
There
though.
was almost
that
a Dan
4th
Campbell
and 3
scenario.
When he had the chance to tie it 13-13. I thought that was a bad move by Shanahan, who is, I mean, if you look at numbers, I didn't know this for the other day. He's not very aggressive with going for 4th and shorts.
And I think that was a really good point that when you texted me immediately after that happened, you said if that's or actually maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was Jack. If that's Jimmy Garoppolo, they're kicking that field goal.
Really?
Because
you think so?
I it opened my eyes. I was like, that's, and I know Jimmy Garoppolo is horrible now, but that really just shows the confidence that Shanahan has in his quarterback, considering he's had Jimmy Garoppolo in a Super Bowl in the past, and he would not have. I don't think he would have gone for it if he had Jimmy Garoppolo under center.
100%. That's it's a tough call though that I did not agree with. I would have kicked it. It works out for them. They get the touchdown. They don't get the extra point, which was huge. By the way, one of the when I'm deciding who I'm going to pick, handicapping this game earlier in the week, one of the reasons why I almost flipped to the Chiefs early in the week was because of special teams. Because Bucker is fantastic, and Jake Moody is a little sketchy.
Yep.
Moody was great. I mean, Bucker's always great. Give him credit, but Moody was good. I mean,
Moody
other
was
than that extra
fantastic.
point, which, I mean, I don't know how much you're going to put on him.
No. I mean,
Low angle, but still.
it's a low angle, but it's an extra point. That guy's kicking extra points, 5 times a game the whole season. So he's, I'm sure he kicks it like that every single time. The fact that it got blocked now is getting noticed that he's kicking a low line drive. Jake Moody, man,
Rookie. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Give him credit. He stepped up.
I'll tell you,
spot.
one of those, I put together a bunch of stupid bets yesterday,
God.
right? And for some reason, my signature, everybody's got their weird signature bet. Mine are the touchbacks.
Yeah,
Love the touchbacks. So I took the opening kickoff to not be a touchback because I had a feeling, and the feeling was so wrong. But then there was a total for the game, 7.5. I took the under. 13 touchbacks yesterday.
Yeah,
13.
It was not
13.
wrong.
Because then the overtime, then they were really rubbing it in my face.
Yeah.
I mean, they're booming them. Bucker and Moody are booming them into the freaking, off the goalpost.
Through the goalpost,
what
off the
the hell
goalpost
is
a couple of
going on?
times. Yeah.
But the special teams, weird play. There was just a lot of weird plays, especially in the first half of that game with all the fumbling and this. That I don't think I've ever seen that I can remember a kick like that, the punt, where you have a muff punt because it hit a player's toe, and then it kicks, and the guy has a chance to recover it, and he cannot, and then the Chiefs end up recovering.
Can I just say something? Go back to 2011, 2012, when they fumbled. The Niners fumbled twice, and the Giants won that game and go on to win the Super Bowl. They've had some crazy. This might be a little bit of a cursed franchise here, the San Francisco team. They've had some really bad plays go the opposite way in major games, and this is just another example of one of these things where if that play does not happen, we might be sitting here saying, oh, the San Francisco 49ers won their first Super Bowl since 1995.
Yeah.
Also, how about late in the game, in the fourth quarter, when they had to take the 3 and they didn't get the first down, and there was a minute something to go when they gave the Chiefs a chance to go down and tie the field. How about you get a first down there? Yeah. And I'm a big Brock guy, but Brock, get a first down there. That game's probably over.
The game is over.
Game's probably over.
They're down to the 2-minute warning. They got 2 timeouts left, the Chiefs. So, best case scenario for them, they're getting the ball back with, a minute and 10 seconds left with no timeouts, maybe a minute left, something like that.
As long as you score a touchdown,
yeah,
you're going to win that game.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things that you think about those, because you don't think about that off the top of your head right after the game, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, that's a heartbreaking loss for the San Francisco team.
There were a lot of opportunities for the 49ers to take full control of that game. And, people want to talk about that. You want to talk about not scoring the touchdown there or not getting the first down and then drain the clock down or, what McCaffrey's fumble earlier in the game. I thought maybe the biggest momentum swing that they ended up missing on was you come out of the half and, they went, the Chiefs have the ball and Patrick Mahomes has a bad decision, his worst decision of the game and his only interception of the game by throwing that ball, which I don't know if it was intended for Kelsey because he was the way more open option there, but I think it was Valdez-Scantling or Rice, whoever was behind him that he ended up throwing to, and that ball gets picked off. They get the ball in Kansas City's 43-yard line with a 7-point lead, and they actually end up basically going backwards and having to punt the ball. And it kind of reminded me of the Falcons Super Bowl against the Patriots when they had a chance to. It was a bit of a different scenario. The Falcons it was much later in the game when they were basically going to put the game away, but they were getting into field goal range and they end up going backwards and having to punt. So Kyle Shanahan might have gotten a little deja vu there, and that's one of those plays or one of those series where you look back at the game and you say, we might have a ring on our finger right now if it wasn't for that.
It's so many opportunities in this game. Dre Greenlaw going down. That's massive loss. The guy that replaced him, they went at him, and I just saw on Twitter before I got here his numbers from that game. It's just awful. I think they completed 9 passes on him.
He was the reason. I actually wrote this guy's Oren Burks. That's his name. He was the reason why the Chiefs scored that touchdown in the second. And now I don't want to just nitpick at that guy and say he's the entire reason.
No, nitpick at him.
Obviously, the muff punt is what set up the touchdown there, but I mean, they're running a switch vertical route, and you have Valdez-Scantling coming right up the seam, and Oren Burks is standing 5 yards off the ball playing zone coverage, and the guy doesn't even drop back, and Mahomes just goes doop right over his head. If he gets enough depth there, that play's not open. That play's a busted play, and he's just wide open right up the seam.
It's just a heartbreaking loss to have Greenlaw go down the way he does. He's such a fantastic player. Just that hurts, and it's another one where you say, okay, maybe they win the Super Bowl if he does not hurt himself. I don't mean to laugh. It's just it's crazy. All right, a little bit on the dynasty here. 3 out of 5, and I saw the stats again. The first 7 years of the career, Mahomes, Brady. There's not a single number that Brady beats him in. I mean, Mahomes has him in every single important statistical category. He's obviously a better runner, which he doesn't get enough credit for, Mahomes, and we saw him gash the Niners last night on Sunday. So, JM, I know you're kind of there already. I'm not. I can't say he's the GOAT yet. I need one more. Get with more than half.
I mean,
more than half.
It's like we talk about in any sport. It's like we use in the LeBron MJ comparisons. It's when we were talking about Brady and Rodgers last week, and I said, okay, well, you're talking GOAT and you're talking best of all time. Are we talking talent? If we're going based off of accolades, no, he's not the GOAT because Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings, right? There is no way in hell if you asked me, you could get Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady for a game, for a season, for their career, who are you taking? There is no chance in hell I am choosing Tom Brady in any of those scenarios. I am taking Patrick Mahomes 10 times out of 10, season, career, game, quarter, play, anything. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how good he is.
It's really, I think it's a delusional take to say that Tom Brady is physically a better football player than Patrick Mahomes is.
No, he's not. I don't think he is. I think Mahomes, I dropped my computer, is the better player overall. But we do have to remember something, that Tom Brady did now start his development. We're in year 7 now. Tom Brady now started the development of turning into that elite quarterback right around this time that Mahomes is at. Not age-wise, but seasons-wise. He turns into that elite-level quarterback. But
I think he just started getting better weapons, to be honest with you. I think Randy Moss came over in 2007, and that's Tom Brady. What did he throw 50 touchdowns that year?
Right. Well, again,
and then Gronk comes along, and you could make your arguments about if Brady made Wes Welker and Edelman and those guys, but
he did. And listen, you do need great players to succeed and to start developing into the elite level players. I mean, you can't name me a player that did not have elite level talent around him or really good weapons around him when they started to become elite players. So that did end up working out for Brady in that way, where he was able to get, I think the greatest wide receiver of all time later in his career, sure, but the greatest receiver of all time in Randy Moss. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, man, I think we should just feel lucky that we are able to watch this guy play every Sunday, and we've been able to see this dynasty. I mean, I know there are people that don't like him. They've become the villain now, and I think they've done a good job of embracing the villain mode. Yeah. But I think we're just seriously blessed to be able to watch these guys play, and specifically Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people are starting to realize that. I think we're having a bit of a different narrative this morning on Patrick Mahomes. I think people are starting to pay their respects a little bit to say, all right, yeah, I didn't want this guy to win, but you got to tip your hat when you got to tip your hat. He is incredible. I completely forgot what I was going to say about the Patrick Mahomes. Oh, the thing with the Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes comparison as well, I understand that Brady had the longevity and, like I said, 7 Super Bowl rings is crazy. He defeated every narrative. He did it with 2 different teams, did it at all different age levels, right? Fantastic. We know, though, that Patrick Mahomes has that GOAT trait, right? That he has that trait that we saw yesterday where, well, he got the ball back in overtime and he's got a chance to go down the field.
He's got that winning mentality.
He's going to win the game. It's not even I'm sure he has a great mentality, but it's not even mentality. It's that X factor, oh crap, we gave it back to this guy.
Eli Manning in the playoffs. You can't even say no to that. Can't even say no
why
to
do
that.
you have to bring? No, I can say no to that.
You can't even say no to that.
Eli Manning lost plenty of wild card rounds, and then he would
lost
go
like
on
2
his
wild
great.
cards.
He was. It wasn't every playoff game.
Eli Manning is the New England Patriots in the playoffs.
Yes. Okay.
No, I know what you mean.
Thank you for ruining my mood by bringing that up.
It's my guy.
Yeah.
I got to get the Eli defenders out, the numbers out to defend him.
He's eligible for the Hall of Fame next year.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of defending.
Sad day for the Hall of Fame when that man walks through the doors.
You think he's going to get in?
I think he's going to get in.
I have a weird feeling he's not.
No, I think he's going to get in. I think this whole post-career Manning cast and how he's become the Pro Bowl captain.
They love him.
He's all up in the sports media right now. They're loving him. I think that's going to play to his advantage. We see it in baseball all the time. We see Kurt Schilling. If Kurt Schilling was running, some sort of foundation right now and was winning whatever the Roberto Clemente Award, Kurt Schilling being
Kurt Schilling is next level piece of shit.
Yeah, he is. That's why I'm saying they're not.
He's not like.
If Eli was out here pissing on graves and lighting grandmas on fire, he wouldn't be getting into the Hall of Fame.
I'm a diehard Giants fan. I have a weird feeling he's not getting in. At least on the first ballot. I have a weird feeling he's not getting in.
We know where I stand on this, so.
Yeah, well, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, where the hell were we talking about Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and that winning mentality? Mm-hmm. Yeah, people try. I think you even tried to, I think compare not like the absolute winning mentality of they're just going to go down the field and score, but that almost Mamba mentality you compare with Hurts, right? That he had, and he Hurts got nothing.
Hurts, yeah.
But he has nothing.
No.
Don't compare him to Kobe.
Yeah,
please
stop.
But it's scary. It's scary how good these guys are, and it's like, when are they going to stop?
I'm reading an article in The Athletic today talking about this, right? Talking about Mahomes and Brady.
Oh, it wasn't Hurts?
And it's this GM. No, it's not about Jalen Hurts. It's this GM, and he's like, how much time we have, by the way, right now? How we doing? How we doing time-wise?
How long is this?
What?
How long are you about to...
I don't know. Just tell me the time.
Oh, 27.
Oh, okay. We're good. So he's talking about quarterbacks and who he would take all time, right? And he's
sure.
Like, I can't give him Tom. I'm sorry. I didn't mention who's saying this. This is an ex-GM. They never say the name.
Yeah,
it's
anonymous.
Like some ex-NFL GM, right? Mike Tannenbaum. Whoever the hell it was. And he's like, yeah, I take... I'm not going to give him the GOAT yet. I'm still going to take Brady. Then I'd probably have John Elway second. And then I'd have Patrick Mahomes. Like, where are these guys getting... Like, where are you basing this off of? You're going to put John Elway, too, the guy who has 300 touchdowns and 220 picks in his career and 2 Super Bowl rings. So he doesn't have as many Super Bowl rings as Mahomes. His stats are clearly not as good. Yeah. And it's not like John Elway played in the 60s. He played in the 90s.
Yeah.
You're going to give him over Patrick Mahomes. Like, where are we coming from here?
People are crazy. It's old school. It's an older school mentality, obviously, and you're obviously wrong.
Elway? I mean, I know Elway was a talented quarterback. I'm not denying
Listen,
that.
again, you know how I feel about the LeBron Jordan thing, and I was on LeBron's side when he got to 3. When it was 6-3, I said, enough of the championship argument. He's halfway there. It's a different era. I'm not going to. I can't. I can't not watch this guy play and say he's not the greatest of all time. Kind of the same era here with Brady and Mahomes. They're very close to each other. Get to more than halfway for me. You get to 4, and the numbers still look like the way they are. Even if he three-peats, I'm willing to say, okay, you know what? This guy's the greatest player of all time.
I think I have something I need to tell our viewers. I need to admit to myself. I need to admit to you. I'm not afraid to say when I'm wrong. Right, I'm not afraid. I like to gloat sometimes when I'm right.
Sure,
but I think also if you're gonna do that, you gotta kind of admit when you're wrong. Throughout the season, especially the second half of the season, and then into maybe the wild card round, I said the Kansas City Chiefs with these wide receivers, with the way that this team is playing, the defense started to tail off a little bit at one point in the regular season. I said once that defense goes, it's over. They got no shot. We haven't seen Mahomes on the road yet in the postseason, right? He's never played a road playoff game. But that's what greatness does, man. When you're as great as Patrick Mahomes is, all those questions just get put to bed, and you trump over all of them, and then you're hoisting a Lombardi trophy because it's just one of those things where the 49ers are such a well-built football team, right? Like, what a great roster.
Perfectly built.
How long have we been saying, what an amazing how many Hall of Famers are on that team, right? How many guys on that team are first-team All-Pro caliber players? Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, even a healthy Deebo Samuel at one point was a first-team All-Pro player. George Kittle, their freaking fullbacks a first-team All-Pro. Like, everybody is just incredible, right? If you have an amazing quarterback, though, like the Kansas City Chiefs do, who cares who your wide receivers are, right?
Well, it's like it is more of that historically great quarterback. It's not elite quarterback. It's the historically great quarterback. It does not matter, and that's why. And we're going to talk about the Chicago Bears in a little bit. Why it does not matter what the rest of the roster looks like. You draft that elite quarterback that is going to be Caleb Williams. We'll get to them in a little bit, though. But yeah, you're 100% correct. They have the perfect roster, no matter what, and maybe as much as both of us like to defend Brock Purdy, to the end, he wasn't good. He was not good enough the other night. He just was not, and that's not an indictment on him. He's still in his second year, but he just frankly was not good enough the other night.
I think he played well. He did not play bad. He did not play great, right? He played good, which is kind of what I think of him as a quarterback also, right? He's not a great quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. I don't think he's an average quarterback. I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I said it today on a freaking blowing up our fantasy football group chat, arguing all day. He's a top 12 quarterback. I said last week, I would probably take 9 or maybe 10 quarterbacks over this guy in the league. That's it. Yeah. I think Brock Purdy is a guy who has average physical traits with above average to elite IQ, reads. I think he's also a great just player to have as the face of your franchise. I think he's a great guy, right? Very humble. I think the people who don't like Brock Purdy need to actually get mental evaluations. You people are sick in the head. I understand if you're upset because he gets overrated or you don't like the 49ers and people hype up this guy for what? He's a system quarterback. If you physically look at Brock Purdy and watch his interviews and this, that, and you say, I can't stand this guy, what is wrong with you?
He's a great story. I mean, by all accounts, he's a great kid, comes from a great family, very religious kid, just not at all. He's not selfish. He's all about his teammates. After the game yesterday, he says, I wanted to do it for my coach. I wanted to do it for the veterans in the locker room. And he's like, and I came up short. He takes responsibility. So, yeah, you're 100% right about that. The fact that he was kind of like I don't want to say a villain because they weren't the villain in this story here, but that people hate on this guy. He's a fantastic story that, I think people should be falling in love with.
Honestly, I know it's a different, Mahomes doesn't have the underdog story like Purdy does, considering he was Mr. Irrelevant, but Mahomes is kind of the same way too, where you hate the greatness and everything, and just how good he is, and him for beating your favorite teams, and you don't like the Chiefs or the corniness of social media or whatever it is, but considering everything that goes on with this guy, with his dad just got a freaking 3rd DUI, his brother's been in the news for the wrong reasons, and all the drama, and even the Taylor Swift and everything revolving around the Chiefs. Mahomes never says the wrong things, right? He's always he hasn't thrown a teammate under the bus or got to give your hat off to him too for being a great example. But just back to Purdy before I get in this crying fest talking about how great human beings of these quarterbacks are. One thing that needs to be said. The guy went with who we're anointing the GOAT right now, basically, of Patrick Mahomes. He went into overtime with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. That is an impressive thing to accomplish.
He went toe-to-toe with him, and they fell short. And, they fell short on 3rd down. Again, the pressure in his face. He was not good against the blitz, and he was not good against the blitz all postseason long. And guess what? I'm willing to admit that even in this entire postseason, outside of a couple of really good fourth quarters, Brock Purdy has not been that good. No. He has struggled in this postseason. So, you know what? Late in the game, he was cool, calm, and collected. He made some big comebacks, but in this one, man, it was a tough one. It was a tough blow for him and this team, and they'll be back. I'm 100% sure of it. They're the Super Bowl favorite next year to win the entire thing. They're plus 500, so I'm confident that him and Purdy will be Purdy and Shanahan will be back, and it'll be another year of Purdy developing. Again, it's going to be his second full year of starting, his third year in the league. That's a big deal. So, I'm very excited to see what Brock Purdy turns into these next few years.
Honestly, I was surprised that it wasn't the Chiefs that they're not the favorite.
The whole course coming back. San Francisco's entire course.
Yeah. Well, the Chiefs have the Snead and Jones and they got a lot of questions.
They're gonna have to choose between one of those guys.
They are. I mean, the answer.
Yeah, I would get rid of
Snead.
Yeah. I'd get rid of Snead.
And Snead's great.
He is great.
Yeah. A couple of things with Purdy though, with the hate and the over criticism, right? Well, let's talk about a couple of the plays. The obvious one that everyone loves to keep talking about is the overthrow of Deebo Samuel in the end zone. I beg you to please watch that play again, okay? He rolls to he does a fake stretch play to his right, play action. By the time he sets his feet to be able to step back and make a throw, right? That's not Brock Purdy, unfortunately, doesn't have the arm to freaking flick his wrist and throw it 35 yards right in the bucket like maybe a Patrick Mahomes does.
Right.
He overthrows him 100%. Chris Jones basically trucks the dude right into the grass as soon as he releases the ball, right? Another example of Chris Jones just wrecking the game, gets right in Purdy's face. The ball gets overthrown. I thought it was a dumb play call. I know that sounds a little crazy. That play call 10 yards back, I think, was a great play call. I thought that they didn't have enough room to run that play, considering how long the play action fake took.
Yeah.
And then that's a very tight window. Because Deebo, if that ball's placed perfectly, he's probably got to do maybe not a toe tap, but he'll get 3 feet in bounds maybe, and that's a touchdown.
No, it was a tight space, even if he would have released it earlier, which kind of would have been impossible because he wasn't open if he released it earlier. So it was a tough play. I can't get on Purdy for that one. There's another one I think I'm...
He had a couple. I mean, listen. He had a couple of. He almost got intercepted.
There was the one with Ayuk where there was kind of he was being pressured and he kind of just floated it up and it looked like there was a miscommunication. Yeah. He threw it to the left side of the field. I thought that could have been a big play there. Could have been a touchdown. Ayuk was naked in the end zone.
This is what I'm talking about. Where it's like, oh, I have this narrative pre-built in my brain as a Brock Purdy hater that I'm going to see him do one thing wrong, and I am going to just pound and pound and pound at that on Twitter or wherever the hell I'm going to rant about it over and over and over again. One play that I think people forgot about because it ended up being an incompletion that I was very impressed from was the play that McDuffie made an amazing play in the end zone.
Right.
Purdy, you got pressure coming from all angles. His pocket presence is something that is
not talked about enough.
When we talk about quarterbacks, right, everybody just wants to talk about, throw from all angles and arms and throwing power and freaking, athleticism and running around. His ability to step up in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and throw the ball accurately with pressure is what impressed me most yesterday. That throw was an on-target, nice throw, a great play by McDuffie. The fact that he even got that off was very impressive to me.
Yeah, he makes a couple of throws where he stands in there and has to take a hit. He's a smaller guy, and sometimes he steps up in the pocket a little too much. Maybe he's just standing in the pocket. He takes hits and still makes these throws and completes them over the middle of the field. Yeah, to me, my feeling on him. I'm impressed by him. I think he's really good, and I think he's in the top 10. I think he's the bottom of the top 10. As of right now, and I only think he's going to climb further.
Let's do it. Okay.
Mahomes, Allen.
How about I'm gonna ask you.
All right.
We'll skip the obvious ones. Okay? We're gonna get to like the fringe guys. So
right.
I'm gonna forget Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar,
Herbert.
You want to throw Herbert in there? That you forget him? Okay.
You can forget Lamar, although I do think it's getting close.
Lamar, yeah. He did just win the MVP, fraudulent.
Yeah. Fraudulent MVP.
Okay, let's start with Matthew Stafford.
I would go Stafford still.
Okay.
Still.
I agree. Dak Prescott.
I'm going to go Brock.
Okay.
I'm going to go Brock.
See, but why is this... I'm on the fence there. I'm going to... Ask me another day, I'll give you my answer. That's not a crazy take, though. It's really not a crazy take.
People tell you that's crazy.
And it's amazing how all the people that probably rip on Dak now all of a sudden in this argument will defend Dak out of nowhere, like acting like he's this great quarterback. But all they want to say is playoff choker and this and that, and he can't play in the big moment. He just pads his stats against bad teams and blah, 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 blah.
I think Hurts it's close with Hurts. I mean, I would Hurts, but it's really close.
Hurts is tough because there's not a lot of track record there. Like Purdy, there's not a lot of track record
exactly,
either. But there's not a lot of track record there. We thought Hurts was on the up and coming, and then he kind of took a dive last year, and he's got the injury questions, and the Eagles season just went very weird, and he's got the tush-push stats inflated, the rushing touchdowns. That's a weird one. Are we Kirk Cousins?
I would go Brock. I'd go Brock. Age a factor, injury is a factor.
We're doing 1 year?
I'm talking about 1 year. And
1 year.
When I say age, for Kirk, I think that definitely is relevant. Even it's just next year.
I guess
I love Kirk, man. I love Kirk.
You're taking him over like a Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Jared Goff?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Tua?
Yes.
Wow, I'm surprised you even had to think about that one. I'm taking Goff over Tua.
I don't know if I take Goff over Tua.
I'm taking Goff over Tua.
That's a tough one.
I'm going to take Goff over Tua, for sure.
Definitely over those two, though. Brock definitely over Goff.
Am I missing anybody obvious here? I think that's basically
I think Brock. I think Goff.
Trevor Lawrence.
Brock Purdy. I have to. I have no choice.
I mean, Lawrence was massively disappointing this year.
He's been mad. Yeah, he's got to have it. He's got.
What about the young guys? C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love.
100%. I'm taking those.
Good. Okay, I would also agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
because there's a different okay. Listen,
we gotta write this down.
There are special guys, right? Like there are the truly like you mentioned, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson. I think Rodgers, Stafford are in their own category.
I'm not even ranking Rodgers. He's not played in a year.
But Stroud and now Love are entering that special category. Where okay, you know what? It's gonna be pretty difficult to get into that category. Yeah. Because Lamar's kind of fringe in there. Mm-hmm. And I think
I don't know if Lamar's fringe in there. I know we agree that the MVP season was a little overdone here. But I see Lamar as a top 7 easily quarterback in the league.
I don't know if that's easily because there are guys where Brock Purdy and we just saw 2 guys enter and I think over him with one season. With one season, we saw Jordan Love, in my opinion, and C.J. Stroud leap Lamar Jackson, specifically as a passer.
I don't think so.
I think you're him already.
I think you're getting a little too wrapped up in the new shiny toy there with Love and C.J. Stroud. Because you got to understand, Lamar is obviously we think legs first when we think Lamar, but Lamar has really developed into a very, very good passer.
Yeah. I mean, 26 touchdowns, 9 picks.
Yeah, I mean, they're not running an air raid
13
offense.
13 picks, 17 touchdowns, 7. Those are his last 3 years. Yeah. And then this year, the 24/7 wins the MVP. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit. Maybe I'm trying to project it because I think Stroud's going to be top 3, 4.
One thing I think Lamar deserves that other quarterbacks get this argument. They really haven't put great receivers out there for Lamar.
Fair.
And this year, they did. I mean, Zay Flowers looks like a nice piece.
They still
and
didn't,
Odell was like, he's
still have
okay.
Not given him that guy yet.
No, they haven't. I mean, Mark Andrews is the closest thing. Mark Andrews is a great tight end, but he does not have that true X receiver. No,
he doesn't. All right. Well, that was a great discussion.
Dude, that's like the last football game analysis at least we're gonna do for
because you know what, JM?
I'm good though. I'll be honest with you, I'm good. Like football, love football, but I'm content. I think it was a good season.
It was a sloppy season.
A little sloppy.
Overall,
the NFL kind of sucked this year in terms of like gameplay. I think was
it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of quarterbacks go down.
Crazy.
You had a lot of injuries happen, a lot of sloppy play, but. Yeah, I'm good. Listen, it ended, and I really noticed it on Sunday. The atmosphere in that stadium sucked because of how expensive the tickets were.
I didn't even know.
I mean, I was watching. I had the nice big sound bar. You could really hear it. Mm-hmm. They did not have crowd mics high in that game. You barely, because they did not want to emphasize. This is my opinion. They didn't want to emphasize the lack of atmosphere in that stadium because you have a bunch of rich, snazzy people because it's $8,000 a ticket.
Right.
You don't have the real fan there, so that just sucked about it. But listen. I know you're locked into the NBA season. I'm really starting to get ramped up for baseball here, so I'm with you. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm good.
And speaking of baseball, let's just go right into that. We'll go right into baseball here. I
have an announcement to make. I actually haven't even told you this. For the football season, I haven't been really into an NFL draft in like a couple years.
Get into it.
I will be coming out with scouting videos on at least the quarterbacks, and then we'll see if we'll be able to get the running backs involved too. But on the Hardlines YouTube, we will have scouting profiles for
6 quarterbacks?
6 quarterbacks at least, yeah.
Penix, Nix, McCarthy.
Penix, Nix, McCarthy.
Daniels.
Yeah.
Caleb.
Yep.
And
May.
We're big draft guys, so we'll definitely be covering the draft as that goes along, and Jane will drop those scouting videos, which will be pretty cool. Okay. Baseball for the first time in God knows how long. I mean, I think the last time we even considered talking about baseball was kind of when Ohtani was about to sign, and it was
Soto
2.5 months ago. And
we were recording at the old studios.
Yeah, so we are really, really. I mean, I'm excited for baseball, but it's been a while. A little dry spell for Major League Baseball on this show, and really, what we want to talk about is just the lack of movement in free agency. And
the reason why we haven't talked about baseball.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to read off a couple of guys here that are still available. And I'll just big names, Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Matt Chapman, Gio Urshela, our boy, Cody Bellinger, Jorge Soler, JD Martinez, who had a fantastic season last year. All 3 of those guys were fantastic. Stanek in the bullpen. Hendricks is available in the bullpen as well. So there are a lot of guys still available.
Last year, Cy Young, a former MVP, Cody Bellinger, JD Martinez, MVP runner-up. Yeah, no, some solid names out there.
Let me ask you this, okay? Because I've seen this floated around now, and I'll give you my opinion first. Under no circumstances would I want Blake Snell on a long-term contract on my team. Absolutely no circumstances do I want that guy on a contract of 5 or more years.
Okay, I was going to say, what's a long-term contract?
5 or more, I do not want him locked up on my team, okay? The fact that this guy, does he have to take a 1-year contract, 2-year contract?
I think it's maybe, is he a Boris guy?
I don't know. I'll look that up.
It might be, sort of don't bite yet. Like we have time. The ball's still in our court. Let's make these teams get in a little bit of a bidding war. You say, maybe just play the game a little bit. But I would find it shocking for the guy to take a 1-year deal or even have that be a possibility in the back of his mind. I think the last report that was out there was the Yankees offered 6 years, $150 or something like that.
I think the Rodon contract.
Yeah.
Around there.
Which, to be honest, I would be content with that if he signed that with the Yankees.
5 $150.
I know 6.
6 $150.
I know 6 is a lot, but I mean, listen, when the guy's been off, sure, he has not been a Cy Young caliber player. He's had an inconsistent career when he's not having those Cy Young years. But number one, he's not having he's not throwing up 4 or 5 ERAs out there. I mean, he's not having great seasons, but he's not being awful.
He had a 4.2 in 2021, a 4.3 in 19.
Did he really?
Yeah,
he was in the 4s.
Yeah.
What was 2022? Was it the 3.6 something like that with the Padres? The year before,
yeah, he had
Cy
a
Young.
3.38. He was solid, 128 innings.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with this guy is he strikes out a ton of guys, but he walks a lot of guys. Yeah. I mean, he led the league in walks last season too. Yeah. And he doesn't go that deep into games because of this.
Do you know who actually had the same sort of problem? Let's try and take a guess here, guy. Lefty, started and played in the NL West, didn't win a Cy Young in the NL West. A lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts. Ended up winning a Cy Young, hitting the open market, and he's not that good anymore.
Is this obvious?
This is recent.
Oh, Robbie Ray?
Robbie Ray.
Okay.
Robbie Ray had that problem where he had sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray had a lot of problems like that in Arizona where he was walking a ton of guys, and then he gets a high strikeout guy, gets traded to the Blue Jays and wins a Cy Young, and now he goes to Seattle, and they're trying to trade him already. They did.
He's a giant.
I completely forgot that
He's a
happened.
Giant.
Was that the Mitch Haniger trade?
I think it might have been.
Okay. So there you go for Robbie Ray. So that's the scare for Blake Snell, right? It's a little different, right? Blake Snell's got a bigger track record. He's won 2 Cy Youngs.
He's won 2 Cy Youngs in each league.
Yeah.
Not many guys have done that.
Scherzer.
Almost all of these guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And the other guy's borderline Santana, who should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Like, those are the guys that have done this, won a Cy Young in both leagues, are historically great pitchers. Yeah. And we're talking about this guy not getting a contract.
It's very, very strange, the guy's career track record. As his agent, as Scott Boras, of course I'm going to tell teams, this guy's a 2-time Cy Young winner in 2 separate leagues, and look how amazing his stats are. And they're obviously going to negotiate and ask for Cy Young-esque money. Are you really going to pay him that, though?
I mean, we're talking about a guy that's gone over 180 innings. He's gone 180 innings twice. That's when he's won the Cy Young, and he hasn't gone over 130 innings in any other season.
What would you give him? If you were forget about your team situation and what championship window you're in, whatever.
I think
what is a fair contract for Blake Snell?
I think the Giants should sign him, okay? So this is how this is.
So you think they should stack up, strike out, heavy, walk?
You know what?
Walking left-handed starting pitchers.
Okay, maybe that's not a good example. Maybe the Red Sox should sign him. Okay, maybe the Red Sox should sign him.
Yeah.
JM, I don't like him. I would
give me a number. Michael Merlo, general manager of the New York Mets.
I would offer him this. I would say, here's 3 years, $100 million. Opt out after 1. You're front loading it. You're making $35 million in the first season. And you most likely
you're signing him to a glorified 1-year deal.
I want that 1-year deal. That's what I would do with him. That's how I would operate. With Blake
how old
Snell.
is he?
He is. I'm on his baseball reference page. He is 31. Just
31 years old. So he's young. That's young for a 2-time Cy Young winner to hit the open market.
I mean, he should be paid. I mean, if I told you, the NL Cy Young Award winner at 31 years old just hit the open market.
Yeah.
Oh, $200 million plus.
Yeah,
I ain't touching $200 million unless he signs like a 10-year contract, which is not happening.
I would love to hear what Boras is asking these teams in the opening negotiations. He's probably pulling up Garrett Cole's contract, and he's like, let's get something in this ballpark.
If the Yankees offered him whatever it is, 6 years, $150,
but that's not a bad contract.
It's not a bad contract. What I would have countered with 5 years, $150. I would have.
You'd rather have just
the $30 million a year. I'll hit it. I'll hit free agency possibly again. I could take another, 1 or 2 year contract, and I get $30 million. I could say I'm making $30 million a year.
4 at that point. I mean, you're giving up maybe $30 million, but a 35-year-old starting pitcher on the market versus a 36-year-old, I think, is a big difference. Once you start, it feels like you're jumping by 2 years once you start entering 35 years old.
I think the Phillies should be all over this. I mean, the Phillies are considered a dark horse for Bellinger or Montgomery. Like, I think the Phillies should be all over this year. Go grab another starter.
Why don't the Phillies develop one of their own players for once in their lives?
It's impossible. Difficulty level impossible. They got this kid Andrew Painter, man. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's supposed to be a rock solid top pitching prospect. Had Tommy John surgery.
With that last name, you better be a good pitcher.
Painter. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, that's what I would do. And if I was, by the way, if I was David Stearns and there's no budget, like he said today in his opening press conference, and you're just really doing this to reset your team and your luxury tax, hey, Blake, here's a 1-year deal, $35 million. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would call Scott Boras.
Yeah,
I would do
why
that.
Not? It's just,
if I was Brian Cashman, I'm loading up on this season. I'd offer him the exact contract I just said. And if he wants to opt into the next 2 years at whatever it is, $65 million, if we go with my proposed contract, okay.
It's not right, though. That's not right.
What do you mean
You can't. A guy that just proved that he's.
How's it not right, JM?
It's not right to the guy to win the Cy Young, his second career Cy Young, and have to sign a 1-year prove-it contract with some team.
It's not right, but this is the way his career has
gone. Well,
gone.
some team is going to swoop. If you're Blake Snell, would you rather sign a 1-year, $35 million deal, or some team that swoops in, maybe like a Baltimore Orioles or some dark horse team that needs maybe some more starting pitching and is in a possible competing scenario, the Arizona freaking Diamondbacks, whoever swipes in here and offers him hey, we'll give you 4 years, 100, right? I'm going to take the 4 years, 100 versus the 1 year, 35 million.
I'm not. I can't do that.
So what happens? But then, if you're Blake Snell, then so you're really going to gamble again that after a Cy Young season, you're going to have another one, and then you're going to take a 5-year, $100 million deal next offseason?
I think if he puts together another really solid season of, he doesn't have to win the Cy Young. Let's say he goes 170 innings. He has a
3-1, 3-2.
That's all I need. I need to see some level of consistency before I sit here and say, okay, I'm going to pay you,
but,
5 or 6 years.
Something we're forgetting to talk about. What did you read me when we were in the break? What are those starting pitchers next year on the open market? What is he going to be, the 4th best starting pitcher on the open market? You got Wheeler, Corbin Burns, and Max Fried.
And Shane Bieber and Walker Buehler.
Okay, so he's the 6th best pitcher. I mean, Walker Buehler hasn't pitched in like 2 years. And
Bieber's not that great either.
Yeah.
It's close. I would pay.
I would take, like, for 1 year, I would take Shane Bieber over Blake Snell.
You think
for
so?
one season. Next season, I would take Shane Bieber over Blake Snell. The track record. Look at the consistency.
Might be right. I don't know. It's tough. Shane Bieber doesn't strike.
But he deserves, like, I understand the impasse here where teams don't want to pay him and he wants more money. I don't want to pay him that money, but he deserves that money.
Well, maybe that's what teams are doing here. Maybe that's what teams are saying. Hey, you know what?
They're ganging up. They're colluding.
But why would a team...
It's not even colluding. It's just everyone understands, all right, nobody's going to give this guy...
Nobody's going to pay this guy a crap ton of money when you have the opportunity to give Zach Wheeler, like you've just mentioned, Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Shane Bieber, Walker Buehler if he bounces back. Why would you waste your resources on a guy that's an unknown instead of 3 guys that have been ace-level pitchers for the last 3 to 5 years next season?
Yeah. And what about Montgomery? Is Montgomery waiting for Snell to sign? Is that why he hasn't gotten an offer either? Are teams also having the same problem where Montgomery's been a little inconsistent?
I would have the same problem with Montgomery. And with the money that he's probably asking for, I would 100% have a problem giving him that kind of deal. 100%.
How are we doing time-wise, Mike? You look a little stressful.
Yeah, a little bit. And one more guy to mention before we wrap this up is Cody Bellinger, who is not signed yet. Again, he's another tough situation. I don't know what he's asking for. It's probably a lot of money, but I think it makes the most sense for him to just go back to Chicago.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a bad option. And they've had a criticized slow offseason.
Yes.
Again, though, talking about fairness, and if I'm their agent negotiating, Cody Bellinger was given did he get $20 million last year for 1 year? So he gets a 1 year, $20 million contract, a prove it deal. They're obviously respectfully paying him for his past by giving him $20 million for 1 year, and he goes out and bats .320 or whatever the hell he did this year. Is he gonna end up in the same boat? Oh, you gotta give him a 1 year, $35 million deal. Like, no, he deserves a long-term deal.
I think his ground ball rate is really high. He's not hitting the ball in the air. He's not hitting line drives. So that's another really tough situation where look at the next season's free agents. It's really good.
Yeah.
But I think Bellinger fits a lot more teams than Snell does. And ultimately, I do think Bellinger will get close to what he wants easier than how I think Snell's going to have it play out for him.
Now it's just team fit for him. Like, Snell fits into a bunch of teams, right? Bellinger, what's his team fit? I mean, we're seeing a lot of Astro stuff lately.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That
would be a nice get.
That would be nice for them. You like him back to Chicago.
Makes the most sense for everybody.
And then after that, I mean, I guess he would end up filling in somewhere that, like I talked about before, a team that maybe just could use a nice signing and, has a lot of
Toronto makes sense for him?
I don't want to go to Toronto. Why'd you want to go to Canada?
I don't know. Ohtani almost went there.
He was using them as his little freaking
toy,
yeah.
Yeah, well.
Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, it's getting late now, as JM, you can see.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for episode 124. Football in the books, as we mentioned. It'll be a busy offseason. We'll be all over that. The NBA still.
Football never stops.
Yeah. It's 24/7 all year round. And baseball's heating up, spring training. They're reporting to camps this week. So definitely be ramping that up with a lot of these guys getting signed. But
Daytona 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Stadium Series hockey this weekend.
It's on this side. Go Blaney. Go 12.
Yeah, there you go.
You watching or?
I'm gonna be busy. I got an event with the not an event. I'm working doing some.
They
stuff
announcing you
with the
GM?
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
But Stadium Series this weekend. Rangers Islanders, big game.
Nice. Where?
MetLife. I'm not going.
What a shame.
What do you mean a shame?
World Cup at MetLife. Like, imagine the memes are hysterical. Imagine being Messi and all these guys, or I don't even know if Messi's gonna be playing in the next one, but showing up to this stadium, this toaster oven looking at stadium in the middle of the swamplands.
The best thing is the fans. Oh, we're in America. Let's see.
Yeah.
Right? We're coming from
New York. Whoa, where's the Empire State Building?
Nope, we got the swampland. There's a mall right there if you want to go. There's nothing. You want to go bet on the horses? That way. Let's go. That's what you get at the Meadowlands. Can't wait for that.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh god, yeah, real spectacle. Nice guys. I'm sure that the parking lot's just gonna be filled with excited sports fans. Yeah,
It's gonna
be like, what? They're just gonna be looking like, what?
Look at that air conditioner.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, this is the largest air conditioner in the world. There's actually a field inside of it. Yeah, great.
Yeah. All right, we'll have fun with that, and we'll have fun with our next episode.